Did you know that when First Blood was released in 1982, Sylvester Stallone was so convinced the film would fail that he tried to buy the rights to destroy it? Yet the same movie would launch one of Hollywood's most iconic action franchises, and ironically, destroy everything that made the original special in the first place. From a poignant commentary on veteran trauma to a cartoonish celebration of violence, the Rambo series represents one of cinema's most dramatic artistic deteriorations. A franchise that began by questioning the cost of war would end up glorifying it, transforming its troubled protagonist from a sympathetic victim of PTSD into an invincible killing machine. But before we dive into how this legendary franchise lost its soul, a real quick ask that if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to hit that subscribe button now. It's one small click for you, but a huge deal for us. Now, let's examine what went wrong with John Rambo's journey from meaningful drama to mindless mayhem. Reason number 1. Betraying the original message. First Blood wasn't just another action movie. It was a powerful examination of how America failed the Vietnam veterans. John Rambo wasn't written as a hero, but a tragic figure. A decorated Green Beret pushed to his breaking point by the very country he sacrificed everything to protect. The original film's genius lay in its moral ambiguity. Neither Rambo nor Sheriff Teasle were purely right or wrong. They were both damaged men trapped in a cycle of violence neither truly wanted. When Rambo finally breaks down in the film's devastating finale, delivering a tearful monologue about his lost brothers in arms, it's a moment of raw humanity that the franchise would never again achieve. Yet starting with First Blood Part 2, the series completely abandoned this nuanced approach. Rambo transformed from a traumatized veteran seeking peace into a one-man army that seemed to thrive on conflict. His PTSD, once central to his character, became little more than an occasional plot device, while his vulnerability was replaced with near superhuman invincibility. The shift was not subtle. It was a complete reversal of everything First Blood represented. A story about the futility of violence became a celebration of it. A character who represented the human cost of war became its greatest advertisement. Reason number 2. Realism to cartoonishness. First Blood's action sequences were grounded in reality. Every fight felt dangerous, every injury mattered, and Rambo's survival skills came from his military training. When he crafted makeshift traps in the woods or treated his wounds in a cave, these moments felt authentic. They showed a trained soldier using his skills to survive, not to destroy. But with each subsequent film in the series, the action became increasingly absurd. By Rambo 3, we had our protagonist literally cauterizing his own wounds with gunpowder and surviving direct hits from Soviet tanks. The franchise that once showed the realistic consequences of violence now treated it more like a cartoon spectacle, with Rambo racking up body counts that would make a video game character blush. This shift wasn't just entertainment though, it fundamentally changed what Rambo represented. In First Blood, his combat skills are a tragic reminder of how war marked him. By the sequels, they were a superpower, turning him into a walking arsenal who could single-handedly win the wars that America had lost in reality. Reason number 3. Political messaging gone wrong. Perhaps the most jarring transformation was how the franchise's political messaging evolved. First Blood was inherently political, but its message was complex. It criticized how America treated its veterans while questioning the psychological toll of war itself. It wasn't about winning or losing in Vietnam, it was just about surviving it. Then came Rambo First Blood Part 2, which essentially rewrote the Vietnam War as a story of American heroism betrayed by bureaucrats. The film's premise of rescuing forgotten POWs played into a popular conspiracy theory of the time, while its execution turned a devastating historical defeat into a fantasy of individual American triumph. Rambo 3 took this political shift even further, with our hero joining forces with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan, a decision that would age particularly poorly after 9/11. The film even famously ended with a dedication to the brave Mujahideen fighters, a message that would later have to be altered to the gallant people of Afghanistan. By the time we reached Rambo Last Blood in 2019, the franchise had devolved into borderline xenophobic territory, with its cartoonish depiction of Mexico as a wasteland of violence and depravity. The nuanced political commentary of First Blood had been replaced by simplistic us versus them narratives that felt decades out of date. Reason number 4. Character development in reverse. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Rambo franchise is how it managed to achieve character development in reverse. Each new film stripped away layers of complexity from its protagonists rather than adding to them. In First Blood, Rambo was a fully realized character with clear fears, motivations, and inner conflicts. His relationship with Colonel Troutman was nuanced and complex, a surrogate father figure who both saved and damned him. The scene where Rambo finally breaks down, revealing his struggles to readjust to civilian life and the loss of his friends, shows the depth of his character. But as the series progressed, Rambo became increasingly one-dimensional. His PTSD, once central to his character, was reduced to the occasional flashback that served more as stylistic choice than meaningful character development. His relationship with Troutman devolved into simple mentor-student dynamics, losing the complicated father-son tension that made their early interactions compelling in the first place. In Rambo Last Blood, the character has become an almost silent force of nature, defined solely by his capacity for violence. The thoughtful, troubled veteran who was once questioning the purpose of war had transformed into a revenge-driven killing machine whose only solution to any problem was massive bloodshed. Reason number 5. Missed opportunities. What makes the franchise decline particularly frustrating is how many opportunities for meaningful storytelling were squandered along the way. Each sequel presented chances to explore important themes that were instead abandoned in favor of bigger explosions and higher body counts. Rambo 3 could have examined the complexities of proxy wars and the cyclical nature of conflict. Instead, it turned into a simplistic fetch quest with a now awkward portrayal of the Mujahideen as pure-hearted freedom fighters. 2008's Rambo had the chance to spotlight the real humanitarian crisis in Burma, but reduced it to a backdrop for gratuitous violence. Last Blood perhaps represents the greatest missed opportunity. In an era where veterans' issues and PTSD are better understood than ever, the film could have returned to the franchise's roots, examining how Rambo's trauma had evolved over decades. Instead, it gave us a grimly violent Home Alone with cartel members replacing burglars. Reason number 6. Icon exploitation. Perhaps the most telling sign of how far the franchise has fallen was the way Rambo himself became commercialized. The character, who began as a critique of American military hubris, has transformed into its celebration, spawning everything from action figures to a Saturday morning cartoon show. The franchise that once questioned the glorification of violence was now selling it to America's children. Rambo: The Force for Freedom cartoon series completely stripped away any complexity from the character, turning him into a generic action hero fighting a cartoon villain like a G.I. Joe. It was the ultimate betrayal of First Blood's original message, taking a character meant to show the human cost of war and turning him into a toy to make war seem fun. Reason number 7. Lost in transition. The Rambo franchise's decline also reflects a broader issue in Hollywood: the inability to evolve with changing times. While First Blood's themes of veteran alienation and PTSD remain painfully relevant today, the sequels seemed stuck in an outdated 80s action movie mindset. Films like The Hurt Locker and Thank You for Your Service have shown that audiences can handle complex, nuanced portrayals of military veterans. Even action movies like John Wick have found ways to balance spectacular violence with genuine character development. Yet the Rambo franchise seemed content to double down on increasingly dated tropes and stereotypes. The death of an icon. What's most tragic about the Rambo franchise's decline is that it didn't have to be this way. The original First Blood proved that action movies could be both thrilling and thoughtful, entertaining and meaningful. It showed that audiences could handle complexity, that a hero could be broken, that violence could have consequences, and that not every story needs a happy ending. Instead, the franchise chose the easier path of increasingly mindless action. With each new entry, it moved further from what made the original special, trading emotional depth for bigger explosions, character development for higher body counts, and meaningful themes for simplified revenge plots. The irony of the Rambo franchise is that in trying to make its protagonist larger than life, it made him less human. The John Rambo we meet in First Blood, vulnerable, traumatized, but ultimately human, is far more memorable than the unstoppable killing machine he would become. His breakdown at the end of the first film carries more weight than all of the explosions and deaths in the sequels combined. The franchise's box office numbers tell the story. While the sequels made money, they never matched the lasting impact of the original. First Blood remains a classic of American cinema, regularly taught in film schools and analyzed by critics. The sequels, for all their spectacle, are largely remembered as relics of 80s excess. But hey, that's just our take. What did you think? Could the Rambo franchise have maintained its thoughtful approach while still delivering all that action? Was the shift to pure action inevitable, or could there have been a middle ground? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of these Hollywood deep dives. This video was made by movie fans, for movie fans.